Hello.
And we're back.
We are back.
And we've got a friend. This is Bella.
She's
I'm
very
dog
fluffy.
sitting. And she is great. And she's taking a bath immediately.
Mm-hmm.
You're missing quite a show. You're doing great, Bella. I wish she could talk.
I know. I look at her and I'm like, what is going on in your
What are
little
you
brain?
thinking? What are you thinking?
Or do you even think at all?
I think that she doesn't. I think that she's a great example of our conversation topic for today.
Bella is feminine.
Bella is the
divine feminine
embodiment of the divine feminine. Aren't you, Bella?
She's like, what? What does that even
I'll
mean?
lay you back down. You're perfect. Anyway, that is our topic of discussion today. What it means to be feminine,
mm-hmm.
and how we felt about it previously and how we feel about it now, and all of the good stuff in between. Kind of separate from like the direction that our conversation is going to go. What is the divine feminine? What does that mean, and why does it matter?
Well, personally, for me, why it matters, I think like everything in life has a balance, and there's a balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and like one cannot exist without the other. And I think why it's important is because I think a lot of people, when they think of divine feminine and divine masculine, they think, oh, divine masculine is a
There's also a cat.
There's also a Kevin, and he's right in the video. You're doing great, buddy. Hey,
it's so funny that they
come
can't
here.
see because he's not in front of the camera. He's just in front of the phone.
I know.
Let's just get him.
I'm having technical difficulties.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Hello.
Hello, we're back after the attack of Kevin. Sit down. What was I saying? Oh, I think it's important because people view divine feminine, divine masculine as like male or female, and that's actually so far from the point of what it is. And I think a lot of people are looking for like their divine masculine or their divine feminine, and that does exist with like partners, but also I think it's really important to find that balance within yourself, to be your own,
because we all have both.
Yeah, to be your own equal balance of divine feminine and masculine, like fulfill yourself. I think that's why it's really important. And also like going to either extreme of both of those is just feels awful.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, it does feel awful, and it really, an example of what that looks like for anyone, regardless of gender. If you are experiencing burnout in your job, for example, you're operating too much in your masculine energy and not incorporating or integrating your own feminine energy into your life. So the masculine energy is the problem solving, physical doing, also kind of like the ability to not experience an emotion.
mm-hmm.
Because that is not good to do all the time, but there is a time and a place to do it. where because like, example, I'll use myself. Whenever my mother passed away, I still had to go to work so I could pay bills. I had to not shut my emotions off, but just say, we'll get to you in a little while. Right now, I have to go and provide for myself and for my kid. That's an example of operating in my own masculine energy. And what it looks like to then kind of transition to my feminine energy is when I do allow myself that time to experience my feelings and process them, and to cry or just express however that means to me in the moment. Feminine is, it's just that, it's present, it's in the moment. It is, it can be chaotic and change on a whim. And I feel like the first example that I got from someone about like how those two energies work together is like a river and the banks of that river. Like the bed and the banks are the masculine, and the water is the feminine, and the banks can become wider and the bed can become deeper with that water flowing through it, but it's also providing a container for the water and guiding and directing where it goes. So that's how it works together. And if you have too much of one without the other, then you're just gonna be off. If you're only operating in your feminine all the time, you're not going to get anything done. Mm-hmm. And if you're only getting things done and you're not allowing yourself that time to be feminine, you're going to experience burnout, and you're going to be resentful and exhausted and feel like no one cares about you.
Yeah.
So that's how the two work in tandem with one another. Mm-hmm. What has feminine specifically meant to you in the past?
I think like just the word in general, from how I grew up and was raised, I think I saw feminine as very emotional and vulnerable, and she has all the kids and takes care of all the kids and cooks and cleans and just like that very standard 50s housewife kind of thing, is how I saw it in the past when I was younger, and I absolutely hated it. And I not all parts of it, but just the parts of it that were like very like felt very societal and very much just like looked like it was just a role that women had to play and fit into, and I definitely didn't fit into any of that. Mm-hmm. So I think when I was younger I didn't feel very feminine. But I always felt like I had very feminine like characteristics, like with my personality and stuff, but everything else like that was like cookie cutter feminine with society I just didn't fit into. But now it definitely doesn't mean the same, and I have a totally different definition of it, but it was like definitely didn't relate to it at all, and I actually hated it, I think, and rejected it, and went like, I don't want to be a sensitive woman and feel emotions, and went the opposite way. And especially after my mom passed, I definitely did that and felt like I couldn't handle it, her loss and grief in a feminine way. I had to do it very masculine and just, distract myself with like,
you had to
work.
Take care of everybody.
Yeah.
Of your siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time I learned about masculine and feminine energies, and I was listening to, okay, so I was very much in my masculine, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to problem solve myself.
Yeah.
And figure out how to be feminine.
Mm-hmm.
How do I do this? What are the action steps? I'm like, I didn't even know how wrong I was, which is funny now. But I'm reading all of these things, and it's like, literally, things that I read were like, wear a dress. Do things that make you feel feminine and pretty and and I'm like, I don't care about those. Like, really, that's gonna make no. And at the time I was learning this too, I was still married, and it was not good. And I'm like, I started recognizing like, oh, I am the masculine figure in this dynamic, and I want to get out of that dynamic. And we, like, two partners cannot both be masculine or both be feminine. It's not going to work. You're going to be fighting one another to meet your need that you have. And then it's so funny because masculine and feminine energy, it's not about meeting anybody's needs. It's about polarity, and it's about creating a flow. Mm-hmm. And wearing a pretty dress and like taking a bubble bath was not going to solve the problem within me around wanting to become more feminine. And I didn't need to become anything. I needed to embody what was already inside of me. Mm-hmm. And another thing that is feminine is creativity. Mm-hmm. It is not that women are the only things that are associated with being feminine, but creating is a feminine concept, and women, we have the hardware that's necessary to literally like grow life inside of our bodies. So like that for me was like kind of evidence that I had some level of feminine inside of me already. Mm-hmm. And then I started digging more, and like you find like the cosmopolitan version of anything at first. Like those are the most popular things that you're gonna find on the internet. But I started like realizing that it's not a cookie cutter thing. I had to get outside of this box that I created myself and just accept that my version of feminine energy is unique to me. Mm-hmm. And so I can still wear men's flannels like I tend to do all the time and feel very much like a woman and feel all the things that like the internet was telling me I needed to wear a dress to feel.
Yeah. I think society's way of problem solving is let's fix everything on the outside.
Yeah.
And that's just the opposite. And in some problem solving, that's just the start. So like the outside only gets you so far. You may feel like really into it for like a day. Hi, hello. But yes, we're into it. But you know, something that is I mean, these things are really just internal, and they're not something that can really fit a description other than like, I don't know, I feel like masculines, they are like, if you want to like providers, would you say, like more of the providing energy?
The masculine energy,
Yeah,
is the energy behind providing.
yeah.
So like, this
then,
was another frustration that I
yeah.
had, because when I was married, I was the only one providing money.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I was so angry with this, all the information that I was finding about like feminine energy and how to be that more. I'm like, well, I felt very much like the man in my relationship. So I'm like, how am I supposed to do this? And I don't have another person that provides for me. I'm the one that makes the money. None of that mattered.
No.
None of it mattered. It's okay because I was like, oh, I'm not supposed to like shut off the masculine parts of myself and just turn the volume up on the feminine parts of myself. It does this all the time. It's just doing this all the time. And it's wise for me to operate in my masculine inside of my business. That is a place for me in my life where I need to be my own masculine, because I need to be a leader. I need to problem solve. I need to make money and provide for my household and for my children. But I have to, whenever I'm not doing that, I gotta turn the dial down and allow for the feminine parts of myself to be more present.
Yeah, and to receive
Yes.
also is a big part
Receptive.
of being feminine, is kind of like sitting back and allowing things to just come to you naturally. And that, for myself and for Laura, has been very hard, because
Such a struggle.
I feel like you're programmed to be
Reject help.
Yeah, reject help.
And never ask for it.
And for me, I've always had this dialogue. It's like, well, if no one's going to take care of it, I'm going to take care of it, or I have to take care of it.
And sometimes you do have to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
But not all the time.
It has made it so uncomfortable for me to accept when I don't have to do that. And it's just something that I never realized that I had a struggle with, of just being like open to receiving and just being like, oh, thank you, and
Because
I accept this.
Like, that's the bad bitch persona, right? We
Yeah.
don't need no man. We can take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't need help. Like, I hate that term. What is a bad bitch? Come on. Like, what does that even mean? Like, I think it's braver to understand and accept your limits and the parts of yourself that literally can't do all the time. Whether you're a man or a woman, it is important for you to accept those parts of yourself, because until you can, you will not experience healthy connections in relationships, in your friendships, in a romantic setting, in your relationship with with your parent, with literally anybody.
Yeah.
And why would you need it? Because you can do it all.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you even need it? Why would you need to feel connected to other human beings when you can just do it all yourself? It doesn't make sense. Humans aren't wired that way.
No, we're definitely wired to
Be in relationships.
And to be healthily dependable and also independent at the same time. Like everything really, when you look at it, it really is a balance. And like you see it all throughout history. Anything that's too far to one extreme or too far to the other extreme is never a good thing.
No.
Being an extremist in any way is not a good thing. And I always feel like I was saying, the bad bitch, like just that word. I mean, I understand that a lot of people mean it as a form of woman empowerment, and I understand that part. But also, I don't feel like women empowerment has, like, for whatever reason, like, and I don't know if this is just me, or like, just like if it's like if many people feel this way, but I also often view being the bad bitch as emotionless. And like, I feel like there is so much power in having emotions and displaying emotions and not caring what other people think or feel about those emotions. Like that is powerful to me, not being emotionless. Like, and I don't know if that's how you took like that phrase of just like bad bitches and just like not showing any emotion and just like, you know, being on the what is the other really,
like, you can't hurt me, you can't do anything, you know.
It's like, no, I think there is power in showing that we have feelings.
Yes.
I don't feel like that's something that should be like, everybody talks about how like, oh, having feelings doesn't make you weak, it makes you strong. But like, you look throughout societies that they don't show that at all.
No. You can have your feelings hurt or be afraid or angry and also not care about what was said to you or about you or done to you. Like, you cannot identify with something that someone says about you.
Yeah.
But also feel hurt.
Yeah.
You can do both. You're not weak, or they didn't win because
they got to you.
Because you're hurt.
I hate that. Don't let it get to you. It's like
why?
Like, it's not, if it's not affecting you or your self-image, like, you should still be able to like feel that health. Like, the more we stuff down, the more
it's not good.
We actually start to have an unhealthy image of ourselves, because we're not allowing ourselves to process that, hey, that was said by another person. And then if you don't process that, it's almost like you internalize it so much that it's like, where did that even come from? Is that just from me? Like, you won't even remember that it was from that person.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It is. Because those are areas where we have not developed a strong sense of identity. So what do? Someone says that our outfit was stupid. And what we internalize rather than, well, I mean, not everybody. If you don't have someone guiding you whenever you're growing up, especially in developing your own identity, what happens in those moments where someone criticizes you, you go, oh, well, I'm not going to do that, wear that, say that, to make sure that nobody else says that again, ever. And that is how like codependency is born in a person, where it's like, okay, then I am going to start assuming responsibility for how other people perceive me so that I don't have to feel badly about myself. But the joke of it all is that you can't please everybody in that way. Someone is still going to find something wrong with you, and then you are miserable. No matter what, you're just miserable because you can't express yourself. You can't exist as you truly are. And I was watching a tarot reading, and the reader blew my mind, and I can't stop telling people about this. But he said, and I can't remember who it was that I was watching, which is annoying. But
could have been anybody.
It could have been anybody. But what he said was, the higher self is always disguised as the inner child. And it sent me on this like wormhole of like children and how they don't pay attention to time, and they are present, and they just do and feel however they want in a moment, and it could change very quickly, and they just kind of follow their own instincts. That is feminine energy. Has nothing to do with a boy or a girl, but that is feminine energy.
Very intuitive.
Yes.
I think a good way to describe the difference between masculine and feminine, now I think about it, is feminine is very intuitive and masculine is very instinctual.
And yes. And another aspect of that, feminine is feminine doesn't need to be contained, but it needs to be guided. So like a child that's throwing a temper tantrum in what adults in society would consider an inappropriate time. To that child, they don't feel that they're being unreasonable. They don't necessarily know. Shaming them is not what they need. They don't need to be criticized, but they also need to learn that there is a time and a place to express how you feel.
Yeah.
And that's where like the guidance, the masculine guidance would come in and say, you're having a hard time right now. Let's leave, or let's do some breathing for a minute, or whatever. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it needs,
it
needs that guidance of, and that's the problem solving. That's the bank of the river. Like, come on, let's direct you this way.
And I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I feel like divine masculines, I feel like everyone's so worried about guiding themselves, which you should be.
Yeah.
But then whenever, say, you get into a partnership, the healthy balance of being like, you know, you have the feminine and the masculine, whoever is being either at the time, you know, I don't feel like in a lot of relationships, especially like in the past, I feel like it's gotten better, but just in a broad spectrum, I feel like the feminism, what am I saying? The feminine, the divine feminine, here I'm getting to it, has felt stifled
very much
by the divine masculine, because the divine masculine thinks that
by men,
no,
feminine by
just
masculine.
that I'm talking about energy, not genders.
Yes. That's so important to
because I'm not trying to be like, because you could have a divine masculine female and a divine feminine male. We both teeter back and forth on both of them. You can be both. We are both. But sometimes in partnerships, one partner is one and the one partner is other. That's why there's a balance. And I feel like sometimes when someone's in the divine masculine, when you're not healthy, you're like, you see the divine feminine as too much.
Yes.
And stifles the expression from the feminine, which then if you don't have the expressed feelings from the feminine, the divine masculine has nothing to guide. So you're not like moving together. They're not working in sync.
And that can happen inside of yourself.
Within yourself.
I did it myself.
I did it.
Toxic
Raise your
masculinity
hand.
myself. Like, no, you're being too much. Nobody cares about how you feel. You don't need to cry. You don't need to whine. You don't need to talk about it. Just go and you do and you take it. No.
It's like...
It's wrong. I was
like
wrong.
If you go to AA for toxic masculinity, it's like, hi, my name is Ashley.
Yep.
And I
100%.
am a toxic. And it's really easy. I've actually found it easier to be a toxic divine masculine than I've ever... Because for a while, I didn't even realize...
It's more accepted by society.
Yeah. And for a while, I didn't realize... Like, I've always thought that, oh, me and my divine feminine, we're fine. Girl, we were not fine. We were not fine ever. We're still figuring it out. We're better. But like, I thought I was very much embodying her, and I wasn't. I was just being divine masculine, but I was doing
with makeup
and looking very feminine. And I did not understand. Like, taking care of people is very much a feminine trait, but taking care of people in the way and taking responsibility for the people and the way that I was doing it was not in a feminine, it was very controlled. And feminine is not controlled. You know, it's like, but I didn't realize that. And it's just like, oh.
She's wild.
I really just punked myself. I was like, I have this in the bag, no issues.
I'm doing it. Look at me.
I have all the issues because then I don't feel valuable when I'm not doing productive work that is societal divine masculinity. And it's like, that looks different for me. So I need to find, like, see my value in that way rather than in a societal expectation way of what that looks like. And I didn't think I had problems with that, but I do. I have problems.
We all do. A good example of healthy femininity expressing itself is, so like, okay, so when a toddler throws a fit, we're like, this person is definitely a toddler, and we're much more accepting of the toddler's behavior. But whenever an adult woman is throwing a fit, society is not as accepting. And my opinion, I believe that is because the feminine has not been properly guided. So for me, like rage, for example, is very feminine. And in the past, maybe not, I'm sure that I can be pushed to this point and allow myself to, it's never, this is the thing, it's never someone else doing something to me, even if something is done to me, right? Because I'm in charge of how I respond to it.
Yeah.
I'm in charge of whether or not I even participate. But I would get so angry, and because I'd spent so much time like suppressing, and then I suppressed so much that the dam broke. And then I can cut someone real deep, like with my words, and I'll make you wish you were never born. I'm very creative in that way.
Yeah.
And I am aware of that about myself. And I can, in a moment of hurt, I've done it plenty of times. I'm like, you did this and you've done this for so long and so many times, and now I'm angry and you're not going to do that to me anymore. And I become like forceful and like you're, and the only reason that you did this is because you are this, and this, and you then blah, 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 and you haven't made peace with whatever so-and-so did to you whenever you were 14. And it's like, I can put all those pieces together, and none of it is like factually wrong. But is it healthy feminine? No. Healthy feminine is, and I learned this in therapy, using I feel statements. I'm not going to point a finger at the person that hurt me and say, and blame, right? Like, I don't need to blame. What I need to do is own my own feelings. And in order to do that, I have to know what they are, which means I have to experience the pain and allow myself to feel that. And then it's empowering because then it's mine. Right? Then it's mine. And I get to choose. Do I want to lash out and do the whole hurt other people? No, I don't want to do that. I want to be whole and I want to be complete. And I want to be in integrity with myself. So I want to say, hey, so-and-so, I need to say whatever to you. Whenever this thing happened, I noticed that I felt very hurt and very angry. And moving forward, before something gets to that point, I would like to have a little more communication, or let's get a boundary put in place now so that these things don't happen in the future. And then like put a bow on it somehow. But the idea is that I'm not saying, I'm not going into that with the mentality of they hurt me and they didn't even care. That person, like, most of the time, they're not aware that they're not trying to be hurtful.
No. And
I am not responsible to micromanage my surroundings so that everybody acts right and then I in turn never experience any kind of emotional distress. The feminine just takes things as they come. And then the combination of like being confident in who I am allows me to be vulnerable and say how I feel, then creating opportunity for the other person to then like see my vulnerability. And not that the conversation isn't uncomfortable, it usually is, it's confrontation, but I'm creating an opportunity for relationship to be reconciled that way, rather than coming in hot with a pointed finger.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I feel like that was really long-winded, but...
No, it made perfect sense. It's like, I feel like that's like a perfect example of what unguided divine feminine looks like. It's just the pointed finger and the nobody understands me kind of like, and it's like, if you
like, girl, do you understand yourself?
And express, yeah.
Do you even know why this hurt you?
No, no. And that's another thing too. I'm glad you just said that, because that's another thing with, being divine feminine and staying true to that is, it's really, a lot of it is about being still. Being still, being able to sit with yourself and to process, because we do have that, you know, have all the uncontrolled, like, emotion and just like all the feelings, and very much so on the feely side of things and the intuition. And it's like, it's really, because all that is so intense. A big part of being feminine is allowing yourself time to sit with things.
Yeah.
Because if not, if you don't ride out that emotional wave, you are going to point fingers and give people like the whiplash of their life with your words. And, you know, girls, or not girls, because it's not a gender thing, but feminine energy can be very, very evil, just very mean.
Well, manipulative. And what's like a movie character to give that, like,
mean feminine energy?
Yeah, like who's an example?
Regina George.
Regina freaking George.
Instantly went to Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Just so like explosive, but also very calculated and manipulative.
And I also think that a good example of like healthy feminine is the teacher.
Yes, I was just thinking of that. Tina Fey. Yeah, she is.
She's healthy. Just kind of like, it is what it is. I'm doing my best.
That is perfect. She just popped into my head as soon as you said that. I was like, is she going to say funny. Tina Fey's character?
Yes.
I can't for the life of me think of what her name is. I just know she's the math teacher.
And she was like outspoken.
Yeah.
She said what she thought. She facilitated. Like, she was a leader.
She said when her feelings were hurt.
She said when her feelings were hurt.
And she expressed herself no matter what anyone else thought.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there were rumors about her.
Oh my gosh.
She was just like, it is what it is.
She really was such a healthy example.
Yes.
I've never thought about that.
Me either, until just now. That's so funny.
I just keep thinking of the scene whenever Regina George hands in the book to the principal, and she's like fake crying, and he goes, so-and-so is, and she goes, fat whore. And then fakes cries again. That part of the movie gets me every time.
That's so funny.
Rachel McAdams really
did a great job.
That movie some great service.
Yes, and then like Lindsay Lohan's character was a good example. Like, she started out very healthy feminine, and then she lost it and was like, now I'm going to get manipulative. And it's not because like, I don't know. I think that it's important to know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a divine feminine identifying woman, especially, it's so important that you know who you are, and then let your appearance and your clothing and the action that you take out in the world be an expression of what's on the inside. That's when you become so like magnetic, and also repulsive.
Yeah.
But you're gonna be repulsive to the people that you don't even like, and you're gonna be magnetic to people that truly value who you are, which is what we all want.
Exactly. So for people pleasers who think that, like, I feel like it's very hard for people who have that tendency to come to terms with that, not everyone is going to like them. And I mean, I've come to the term with, I don't want everyone to like me.
No, that would be exhausting.
I feel like if everyone likes you, you are living life wrong.
Yeah.
'Cause I even said this the other day, when I was just like thinking, like I think I was meditating, and I was like, thinking about like, how do people perceive me? How do I come off to people? And I hear the same things a lot, like, I'm very sweet, I'm very kind, and I'm just so sick of it. Like, not sick of being kind and sweet because I value that part of myself, but I'm so sick of that's what people immediately think of when they think of me, because the kind part is fine, I get that, but I just want a different identity other than just being sweet and kind, you know? Like, I just feel like if people, like, that's all people ever have to say about me. She's so sweet and kind. Like, I want to stir some shit up. And, like, not in a bad way, but I want to be outspoken. I want to be, like...
Because do you feel like the reason you feel this way is because... It's not. You don't feel known.
No, it doesn't.
People.
I am kind and I am sweet, but that's just like common courtesy to me. That's not anything with what I identify or my personality.
Yes.
Like, that's not. That's just the surface, and I'm not a surface level person. And I think I scare a lot of people off because many people are that way, and many people who say that about me are like surface people, and like people who actually know me know that that's not just who I am. But I went through a whole thing. I made a whole TikTok about it. I was like, I'm about to be in I don't know what this villain era is all about, but I kind of...
Is this one of your TikToks that you just make and never post?
Yeah, it was my one that I haven't posted. I have to show it to you. Sometimes I do
the Laura.
I do TikTok checks with reaction. Laura. So the TikToks I post aren't too cringy, and normally they aren't.
I'm never gonna tell you not to post something.
Normally it's just an insecurity that I have, that I'm like, is this stupid? Is this too cringy? Am I just like not hitting the mark here at all? And
you
also
just have
like
to not even ask yourself those questions.
Yeah.
Because if you're asking yourself those questions, then whatever it is, it doesn't matter.
You're right.
Because if you're asking yourself those questions, then you created the thing, or...
I created the cringe.
You created it from that energy of trying not to be, which isn't authentic.
You're right.
So if you're going to ask me for my Laura stamp of whatever on your TikToks, I'm going to ask you... How did you feel when you made it?
Good.
And then I'm going to say, okay, then post it.
Yeah. You do that with me a lot.
I do. I'm Miyagi.
Miyagi.
Wax on, wax off.
But I don't know. And I am getting more comfortable. I've come a long way than when I used to post nothing. Now I just like nothing. And
you guys, she's made a whole private Instagram account with like 20 followers where she is unhinged. She is unhinged.
It really is.
For 20 people.
And one day it will be public. One day. But I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it.
And that's what it's all about.
But you know, maybe I should make it public today.
That'd be a good time.
See, we both, me and Laura, have a lot of very religious family and friends. And sometimes they like to impose their thoughts on us. And I don't
care anymore.
And Laura doesn't care anymore. And I don't care either deep down. But I'm also a little bit of a chicken shit still. But I'm working on it. And I think this year is just going to be my holy terror year.
I love that.
Like terrible twos, terrible 22s.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, this is our take on masculine, feminine. Bella is almost asleep.
This is what it looks like to be feminine.
This is it. She is absolutely chilling. She's loving life.
But yeah.
Living in the moment.
That was our take.
Yeah. So if you would like to discover your own flavor of feminine energy, that's what we're here for.
Yes, we can help you.
Until next time.
Bye-bye.